Big relief for Kotak Mahindra Bank as the RBI has lifted the supervisory restrictions that were imposed after 10 months. Now, the bank can onboard new customers through its mobile as well as online banking platforms. The RBI has also lifted the embargo on the issuance of fresh credit cards by Kotak Mahindra Bank. Now, remember, the RBI embargo was estimated to cost the bank about 450 crore rupees annually. Joining me now for the first interview after the RBI lifted those restrictions on Kotak Mahindra Bank is the MD and CEO, Ashok Vaswani. Mr. Vaswani, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. Relief, I would imagine. The last conversation that we had, you were talking about the possibility of the RBI lifting those restrictions. You believe that a lot of work had been done by the bank and you hope that the RBI would be satisfied. It's taken 10 months, but it's finally done. I want to understand from you, Mr. Vaswani, what are the top things that you have changed in order for you to be able to get the RBI to lift the embargo?
Shereen, first of all, great to be with you again, and particularly under these circumstances, now that the RBI has lifted the embargo. I think, Shereen, like we kind of talked about last time we were together, we have utilized this embargo period not only to make basic fixes in terms of resilience, in terms of security, in terms of capacity, but also to position the bank for the future. Right? And we've actually defined our new digital strategy, the new digital apps and the net banking platforms that we're going to go and take ahead. So those have been launched and we are getting very good customer response from those. So I'm really looking forward to this with a great sense of excitement as we land these new things into the marketplace.
Well, let's try and understand from you what that excitement in your words can potentially mean in terms of numbers, Mr. Vaswani. But before I talk about the onboarding that you're likely to do on account of the lifting of the embargo, I want to understand from you whether that 450 crore rupee number, which was expected to be the hit on account of the restrictions annually, what has been the actual impact of the RBI's actions?
Yeah, so Shereen, like we've been reporting out in our analyst calls every kind of quarter, and I can only talk about up to the last quarter, it was very much in line with the kind of guidance we gave to the market, and therefore pretty much in line with the kind of number, that 450 crore number that we've talked about.
Okay, so now, Mr. Vaswani, what should we expect in terms of next steps? You said that you feel digitally ready as well to attack the future. The expectation is that there will be a calibrated approach, or will there be an aggressive approach to reclaim market share, both as far as the unsecured side is concerned and to go after the credit card segment as well? So I want to understand from you, what is the appetite now that you have on the back of the measures already undertaken and the green flag being waved by the RBI?
Sure. So, Shereen, for starters, we're going to launch a complete brand repositioning campaign, which I'm really, really excited about. That should hopefully happen before month end, where we start presenting Kotak as the go-to financial services organization for the aspirational Indian, right? And that's what we stand for. And for the first time, we're going to bring all the group companies and everything under one kind of Kotak brand.
If I can now sort of bring you down to some numbers, and I want to understand from you where you actually see growth coming in as far as the unsecured side of the business is concerned. You've dropped to about 10.5% in the third quarter. The aspiration of taking that number back to, mid-teens, high teens, what is the expectation in light of the supervisory action now being lifted?
So, Shereen, we've always maintained that we would like our unsecured exposure to our total loans to be around the mid-teens. That continues to be the kind of goal. Now, as you know, we've dropped to about 10.4, exactly as you quoted. We did the acquisition of the Standard Chartered portfolio, so that will take it up a little bit. And the idea still is to get to that mid-teens number. Now, included in that is retail microfinance, and as you well know, microfinance is going through a bit of a hard time right now, so we're not going to kind of grow that book till things kind of stabilize. So directionally getting to that 15% is where we're going to go. The mix may change as we kind of get there.
So what can we realistically expect in terms of the broad timeline that you're looking at in terms of moving from this 10.5 to 15%, which is the aspirational number there, also given the fact that there are challenges in the environment today?
Yeah, so Shereen, you're absolutely right? The space, right now, we're not going to go out on all three engines of unsecured growth. Microfinance is going to be muted till we kind of sort out stuff. And so let's see how long that takes. Frankly, as of now, it still seems to be in a kind of difficult spot. Like I said on the last analyst call, we feel very good about our personal loans. That's kind of, clearly the credit situation is improving quite dramatically. And on credit cards, it's kind of plateauing. So that kind of continues. And as we see green shoots, we're going to ramp up. So in the first instance, the personal loan ramp up, 3,200 crores with the Standard Chartered portfolio, more organically, get the credit card going, and then microfinance follows a little later when things have got a little better and more stabilized.
If I can just double down on what you spoke about there, the pain as far as the microfinance side of the business is concerned, and this has been something that we've been reporting here on CNBC-TV18. You said that the problems continue to exist, and what I gather from your commentary is that we're not done yet with the pain. So we possibly could see a lot more or a little bit more pain on that side. What's the expectation?
So, Shereen, what has happened, at least in our case, is that we kind of picked up that things are getting difficult pretty early. Pretty much January of last year we picked up, and therefore we kind of slowed down things. So obviously our exposure and our loan book has come down quite dramatically. We are seeing, it playing out in different states at different points in time, and we will continue to see an elevated losses at least I think for the next quarter or two, and I'm hoping after that it kind of eases out. By then, a lot of our book also would have kind of rolled off, and I think that's common, and I think that's a industry issue that we're seeing through and through. So I suspect we will see the same level of pain, maybe even slightly more elevated for this quarter and next quarter.
Elevated losses for this quarter and the next quarter, perhaps slightly more as well. That's the outlook there as far as the MFI space is concerned. And you're right, this is a industry-wide situation that we are seeing at this point in time. But, just to take that forward, on the unsecured side, because red flags have been raised, do you anticipate elevated concerns there as well?
No, Shereen, there clearly the personal loan book, at least in our case, like I said in our last analyst call, the personal loan book has improved quite dramatically. Cards is already plateaued, so we expect that to improve as well. So that commentary is very, very consistent with the commentary that I gave at our last analyst call.
Right. On the credit card side, now that, you have the ability to go out there and chase growth once again, what should we expect now in terms of the next steps, in terms of reclaiming market share? And how much share have you lost, Mr. Vaswani, on account of the restrictions?
So, Shereen, clearly our spend share has fallen. I think we've lost about 40 or 50 basis points of spend share, but I think we can get that back. I think the team has done a remarkable job of increasing the value on our existing card so that customers still found a lot of value, and our existing customers helped us through the embargo. Now, as we go out, and acquire new customers, I'm hoping our market share improves, and at the very least, we claw back our market share. We've also got a couple of new products on the anvil, and those new products, I'm hoping, will make a big difference as they land in the marketplace.
And by when can we expect these new products to be launched, Mr. Vaswani?
So I'm hoping pretty soon. All of them will not be launched, obviously, at the same time, but hopefully pretty soon we launch in the next couple of months the first product, and then the second, and then the third.
Mr. Vaswani, in terms of private capex, and I think that continues to be a challenge, what is the indication that you're getting at this point in time? You talked about some green shoots. Where are you seeing the green shoots today? And what's the expectation from here on, given the many measures that have been taken by the Reserve Bank as well as by the government?
So, Shereen, really, honestly, private sector capex, we are still not seeing it kind of kick in, right? So a lot of it is really still dependent upon government spending, and as you know, government spending has been a bit muted in the first couple of quarters, but hopefully that kind of kicks in, and on the back of that, we get the private sector capex happening. But as of now, still not seeing a kind of firm trend on that front.
Not seeing a firm trend as far as private capex is concerned, and that continues to sort of have a cloudy outlook from what I gather, again, from your comments. But what about deposit mobilization, deposit growth, Mr. Vaswani, and how you see that playing itself out, given, again, the environment that we're seeing today? We've seen a significant correction as far as some parts of the stock market is concerned. How do you see that impacting deposit mobilization? Because a lot of that money was ostensibly also moving towards the stock markets.
Yeah. So, Shereen, I think there are a couple of macroeconomic indicators there, and then there are a couple of, things which are more unique to Kotak. From a macroeconomic indicator, I think, obviously the stock market has kind of corrected somewhat, and, there are people who kind of invested a long period of time. They're stable. They can continue. For them, it's more a loss of profit as opposed to anything else. The people who have been more recent entrants into the marketplace obviously have got hurt. So as you know, and as has been reported, there has been some slowdown in the SIP kind of momentum. Not significant, but some kind of slowdown. I think the second big macro environment actually is the budget, where, the minimum level of tax only starts at about 12 lakhs. So that's going to be money that's kind of released into the system, which is very, very encouraging. And that will be low-cost, granular kind of deposits for the banking industry, as a whole. And that should help. And finally, I suspect that government expenditures are going to kick in stronger into the fourth quarter. So that should ease up the kind of liquidity. Plus, the RBI has done its share of helping on the liquidity. So hopefully this will start kind of showing up in the numbers and in the balance sheets of the banks. Now, coming to Kotak, I think in Kotak, the question is not really quantum of deposits. Shereen, as you would have seen, we've grown our deposits quite nicely year on year, and we're continuing to grow. The question is, can you maintain a cost of funds? And we've maintained our cost of funds through the kind of period, right? And what is really working for us is products like Active Money. And Active Money has grown very nicely and gives us a lower cost, a much lower cost than time deposits. Very excited about now onboarding new 811 customers, because that gives us granular low-cost deposits, which we can kind of grow. And then, obviously, as we go back into the marketplace and get affluent customers, I'm hoping to attract more deposits with higher ticket sizes there. So overall, let's just say I'm cautiously optimistic of continuing to grow the deposit franchise at Kotak.
We will take a break here on CNBC-TV18 and continue our conversation with Ashok Vaswani, the MD and CEO of Kotak Mahindra Bank. Remember, the RBI has lifted its supervisory restrictions on Kotak Mahindra Bank. What does the future hold? We'll find out. Welcome back. You're watching the CNBC-TV18 exclusive. We're in conversation with the MD and CEO of Kotak Mahindra Bank, Ashok Vaswani. Now that the RBI has lifted its supervisory restrictions on the bank, they can issue credit cards again and onboard new customers. What does the future hold? Let's find out. Well, you were talking about being cautiously optimistic as far as deposit growth is concerned, Mr. Vaswani. But, a CNBC-TV18 analysis of the third quarter for private sector banks clearly highlights the fact that Kotak Mahindra Bank has outperformed versus the large private sector banks in Q3. Now, what do you feel confident in being able to deliver the kind of performance that you have been able to do, whether it's as far as your NIMs are concerned or even on your slippage ratio, as well as, firing on some of those new engines of growth that now have reopened for you?
Yeah. So, Shereen, I think I feel very good about where we are. And obviously, changes in the repo rates and stuff like that will have some impact on stuff. The fact that we are out of embargo and are going to go out strong with brand campaigns and credit card campaigns and 811 means we will see accelerated expenditures. But Shereen, like I always have told you, right, this is not about a day in the sun or quarter in the sun. This is about building a world-class, sustainable kind of franchise. And I think you'll start seeing those things as we go along in the next couple of quarters.
Largely organic growth, or are you also open to inorganic possibilities? You talked about the Stancy book. That's, of course, done. How much appetite do you have in the current environment to look at inorganic opportunities?
Shereen, we are very excited about inorganic opportunities. In fact, any kind of portfolio acquisitions is something that we absolutely love, and we would look at every opportunity that comes our way. Obviously, it has to make sense from a strategic perspective and then has to make sense from a financial valuation perspective. And if it ticks those two boxes, we are very, very much up for such opportunities.
But are there any opportunities on the radar at this point in time? Or let me reframe that. Are there any specific gaps that you believe that you could perhaps address better by buying rather than building?
No, Shereen, it really is a matter of what comes up, right? If there are things that kind of come up at a decent valuation and fit in strategically, we will definitely execute against that.
Okay. Anything on the radar?
We look at everything, Shereen.
Well, we're still waiting to hear from the government as far as IDBI Bank is concerned, so we don't know where that currently lies. But, again, Mr. Vaswani, going back to that one Kotak approach that you spoke of, again, detail for the benefit of our viewers what we should realistically expect in terms of next steps, in terms of kickers, and what that could mean in terms of numbers, and how soon we should anticipate any kind of accretive move on account of it.
So, Shereen, what we're really saying is we are going to build propositions for our various customers. So immediately out of the gate is going to be 811, and 811 provides a holistic range of products and services for the core Indian customer. That we're going to ramp up with immediate effect. Then a little down the road, we're going to ramp up affluent, and then we can see how these things land in the marketplace and how they get taken up. I'm very encouraged by the response that we are getting on 811. But obviously that was muted because we were under the embargo. And when we open it up, we will see how that goes. So in our next conversation, I can report out how that's kind of going.
Yeah, but if you can leave us with some indication of, because you said you've got very positive response even before the restrictions were lifted, what's the indicative number that you can leave us with, or what's the aspirational target that you've set for yourself as far as 811 is concerned?
So, Shereen, we were, if we can get back to acquiring the 400,000-500,000 customers a month that we were pre-embargo, for a starting point, that would be a great place to be.
Okay.
A month.
Acquiring 400,000-500,000 customers a month, that's the run rate that you're working with?
Yep.
So, Mr. Vaswani, let me end by asking you, what do you see as the big opportunities, or where do you believe you get most confidence from at this point in time? And what would you signify or qualify as the key risks that you're going to be mindful of?
So, Shereen, look, the way we think about Kotak is actually runs on like 4 engines, right? It's obviously got the asset management engine, the capital markets engine, the insurance engine, the banking kind of engine. And that is the beauty of Kotak, that really, whatever the situation is, this kind of diversification helps in managing cyclicality. It also helps us in meeting needs of customers. So, whichever way the market kind of develops, we have an opportunity and we can go ahead. And that really kind of helps us. Obviously, right now, on the horizon, very, very, very conscious of how the economy is growing and what is the implications from a credit perspective. And that is something we monitor very carefully. We want to manage through any kind of credit cycles and make sure that we kind of keep the super tanker going in good stead.
So how confident do you feel about the state of the economy today, Mr. Vaswani? I mean, you gave us some indications of private capex, as you pointed out, hasn't kicked in just yet. There's an uncertainty there. There is pain on the MFI side as well. But, overall, how confident do you feel about the state of play as far as the economy is concerned today?
So, Shereen, I think that, look, the RBI has taken measures. I think the government spending will kind of come back. So I think we should get back to a decent level of growth. I think it's in the minds of everybody, and I think there are actions being taken to make that happen.
Mr. Vaswani, back to the stock markets and what you're seeing there, there is a fair degree of pain that we've seen, especially in the last few weeks on the mid-cap and the small-cap side particularly. What's the outlook from here on, given the fact that we've seen significant FII selling? And also, what does this portend then for the IPO market? 2024 was a breakout year as far as the IPO market is concerned. What do you foresee now for the capital markets in 25?
So, Shereen, I think that IPO trend was actually very strong, and from everything what I see, it continues to look very, very strong. A lot of the stock market kind of corrections have really been on the back of foreign investors selling out, which is due to a completely different thing around, the dollar, or what is famously now being referred to as the kind of Trump trade, right? And I think, in a sense, that these kind of corrections is actually healthy. In the last 4 or 5 years, customers have not seen a kind of downturn. Now they know what it means to a downturn, and this is bubbles kind of being deflated, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing from an economy perspective. Now, where this goes and stabilizes, and does it go down another 5 points or goes up another 5 percentage points? I don't have a crystal ball in front of me. Like we keep telling our customers, you're invested for the long term, and the long term, these kind of investments make a lot of sense. So we'll see how it all plays out.
I just saw a post, Mr. Vaswani, and I'll end with that, suggesting that there's something happening on the 25th of the month. Is that the relaunch that you were talking about, or is there something else that we should be prepared for?
No, Shereen, that's what we're talking about, the launching of the brand campaign.
Launching of the brand campaign. Mr. Vaswani, always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18. We wish you the very best of luck with the future actions as the RBI has lifted its supervisory restrictions placed on Kotak Mahindra Bank 10 months ago. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18. That's the MD and CEO of Kotak Mahindra Bank there on the road ahead now that they can onboard customers digitally as well as issue credit cards once again. We will take a break. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. Back in a moment with more.